Hi, how are you today? This is Auntie Nat's Crochet. Glad you chose this tutorial video. Allow me to teach you how to play with yarn. I have hundreds of videos, so do subscribe to my channel. The subscribe button is at this corner over here. It will mean a lot to me. And today I'm going to make another flower. This is, if I'm not mistaken, it's known as Poinsettia flower. And I've added some pearls here. This is optional, whether you want to add pearls or do not add pearls. You can just make it just plain without the pearl. So the pattern for this petal and this petal and the leaves is exactly the same. It's just that the number of the foundation chain will determine the length of the petal or the leaf. Okay. And I'm using 4-ply cotton yarn. It's 4-ply because you can see actually it's 4 strands of some of it are 3. This is 3. This is a 3-ply and this is a 4-ply. You have 3 strands curled into one. Like this, if not mistaken, it's a 4-ply. So that's why you will see 4 yarn curled together. And I'm also going to use lace yarn to sew this pearl onto because this yarn could be quite thick, so I use this lace yarn to sew the pearl here. And you see the lace yarn and straight right to the back. I leave a long tail here as I plan to sew this on a pot. Okay, so if you do not plan to sew this onto a pot, you can use green color yarn so that you don't see all these white spots here. You can use actually just about any type of yarn, but your leaf, the size of your leaf and the flower will come out slightly different from mine. Okay, so I'm using a slightly smaller yarn, and because of the 4-ply yarn and the 3-ply yarn, I'll be using a 3mm hook. Okay, now let the fun begin. Okay, I'm going to show you all these. I made a few. All these are the same. The way of doing it is the same, it's just that the length is longer. I take for example this and this, and you see this is slightly shorter, and this with this. So now I'm going to show you this one, the smallest. So you start by making a foundation chain. First you make a knot. This is just my habit of making a knot. Then you're going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You see, this is a chain 12. So this one start with chain 12. This one chain 16. This one chain 18, and this biggest one from here to here is actually chain 21. So I hope you get what I mean. So we start with this chain. So this is chain 12, chain 12, chain 16, chain 18, chain 21. Now we always start from the second stitch from the hook. This is the hook. This is the first stitch. This is the second stitch. Go to the second stitch from the hook. From here on, do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. So the rest is the same. It doesn't matter if you're doing this or this. Doesn't matter you're doing this big one or this small one. It's still the same. You still start with 3 single crochet. Okay, it'll be all the same. So now 3 single crochet, then I'm going to do half double crochet. I'm gonna yarn over, go to the next stitch and do half double crochet. I'm not gonna need to count my stitches, it's just that I'm going to do half double crochet all the way to the end, and not exactly to the end. You would have 3 stitches left, 1, 2, 3, so I'll do until here. So if let's say you have a chain of 21, so let's say you have a chain of 21, it's the same thing. You do 3 single crochet and you do half double crochet all the way until you have 3 stitches left. So doesn't matter if it's this small or this big, the pattern is going to be the same. Okay, so 3 single crochet and the rest is half double crochet. Until you have 3 more stitches left. Okay, I still have 3 more stitches left. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to do single crochet. It's no longer half double crochet, it's single crochet. So I'm going to do single crochet, single crochet. Then this last stitch here, I'm going to do 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 single crochet into the same stitch. Then now we're coming back this way, so I'm going to bring this along when I crochet. So same thing, I'm going to do single crochet. Remember we did 2 single crochet before the corner here, before we did 4 single crochet. So here will be single crochet and single crochet, single and single crochet. Then I'm going to do half double crochet, means you yarn over and you put through all 3. So you're gonna do half double crochet all the way until you have 2 more stitches left. So you're gonna do the same for, doesn't matter whether it's the bigger leaf or the smallest petal. It's raining outside. It's raining season again. So you're gonna crochet until you have 2 more stitches left. See, 1, 2, 2 more stitches left. Maybe I should do 1 more here. I mean, there's no wrong, right or wrong. So long you have a gap here, even if you count wrongly, it doesn't really matter. So here I have 1, 2, 2 stitches left. Even if you want to stop earlier, you can. You want to stop here, you can. This is that this part here will be wider. So like this. And this, you see the top part here. so it doesn't really matter. I want to make one more. I don't want the top part here to be too long, so I'm going to stop here. So there's 2 more stitch left. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to turn my work. I'll cut this off later. I'm going to turn my work, and this stitch here, I'm going to skip this stitch here and go straight to this next stitch. I mean, when you pull this, you can see 1 stitch here and 1 stitch here. This is the first stitch. I'm going to skip this and go right to the next. So I'm going to go to the next stitch and do a slip stitch, and again another slip stitch. Then I'm going to do half double crochet again, all the way to the bottom until you have 3 more stitches left. I guess this is about it. 3 more stitches left. 1, 2, 3. You don't really have to count it exactly. I mean, if you think this is 3, then you can stop here. Okay. So how I get this is the tip. So I find that this is my tip. So I count as 1, 2, 3. If you want to count this as your tip, then this is, you do 1 more before you count 1, 2, 3. I find this is the tip. So 1, 2, 3. You just take a look at it and see. You put it straight up. You will find where is the midpoint. So now I have 3 more stitches left. Same thing. I'm going to do single crochet and single crochet, and then this last stitch here, I'm going to do 4 single crochet. In the same stitch. 4 single crochet in the same stitch. So it makes this part wider and this part more narrow. So again, the following stitch is always a single crochet and single crochet. It's always 2 single crochet before we start our half double crochet. So for this flower, you don't really have to count your stitches. So here, remember, we have a gap here, so I make sure it's also somewhere here, like 2 stitches away. So you just do half double crochet all the way up until you match with this side. Even if it doesn't match, it's okay. No worry. And it will look more natural. I mean, once you have done it this way, nobody is going to go and check and see if it's, if it's in line. So it looks like this. It has these curves, and it will look kind of natural, like a leaf or a petal. So here, same thing, 2 more stitches left. I'm going to turn my work. Again, I'm going to skip this and then slip stitch, slip stitch. So here, remember, turn your work, skip 1, and do slip stitch and slip stitch. Then I'm going to do half double crochet again until the bottom. Not exactly until the bottom, I mean, like, you should have 3 more stitches left. So now, because this curves like this, it'll be a little bit confusing as to where is your three more stitch left. So I would take this as my midpoint. I'll do one more half double crochet, then I'll take this 1, 2, 3. So this will be my single crochet, single crochet, so don't worry so much about this because I was kind of pulling it. Once you're not pulling, it will kind of close up. And this particular flower, if you notice, I didn't add any wire. It will stay firm like this because of this pattern. So single crochet, and at this last stitch I'm going to do 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again single crochet, single crochet, then half double crochet all the way. You see this drop here, and you see this drop here. I will take this as 1, this is 2. I will do one more here. So you can start from here or you can start from here, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to start from here. So can you see there's a drop here and there's a drop here. So now again I'm going to turn my work, skip this stitch, go to the next stitch, and slip stitch and slip stitch and half double crochet. One, two, three. Okay, I'll do one more. Then I'm going to do slip stitch and single crochet. I'm going to do single crochet, then I'm going to do 4 single crochet into this same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now if at this point you are lost, you're not sure if you should stop you should stop here, you just take a look and see. Now this side you have 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like a 3 drop. Actually this is a drop, but here you only have 2, so you should have one more here like this. You can see there's one drop here, so I should have one more here. So which means I still have to go back and do one more round and come back before I stop. You can do one more if you want, but the petal will be bigger if you do that. So it's not wrong, it's just that this one will be like bigger, wider. Oops, sorry. You should do single crochet, single crochet, and again half double crochet, half double crochet all the way until you see that drop. Here, that's the drop. So it should be here. There's one here actually. There. And you see that drop. And we're going to create this drop here. So I'm going to turn the work. I'm going to skip this, go to the next stitch, and do a slip stitch, and another slip stitch, then half double crochet all the way down, and here got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do single crochet. I'm gonna cut this top part here. Then you check back and see. I mean, sometimes we get carried away. You might do a few more rounds. So you check back and see. You wouldn't want, the same row. If it's in the same row, you wouldn't want this to be way wider than this. So make sure this tree is the same size. This tree at the back is the same size. And then the leaf. So it's up to you whether you want to make the leaf bigger. 3 leaves, 6 leaves. I just want to make 2. Okay. So this one is also the same as this one. See, it's just that because it's long, I did more drops. So which means you have to go through and fro 2 more rounds or 1 more round, depending how wide you want the leaf to be. So you see here how many drops. So normally I would put it this way to see if I've missed a drop. So this one now, to see if I'm supposed to stop now, I would check and see, like, okay, I got it right. This is parallel. There is 1 drop here. So I think I'm gonna stop because it's the same size as the earlier one. I want the first front tree to be of the same size. So this is the time I'm going to stop, which means once I reach here, this last stitch here, okay, here I did a single crochet, then you go to that last stitch that you pick on the top there, you do a slip stitch, chain 1 and pull tight. And if you want it for sewing, you just leave a longer tail so that you can sew this on to the next few petals. Just remember, doesn't matter if it's the bigger one or the smaller one, the way of doing it is exactly the same. So you see, it's just that because this is way longer, so which means you have to do a few more rounds. You can't just stop here. If you stop here means the drops here, the curve here will only have 2 or 3 curves. Since it's this long, do 1 more curve or 2 more curve. Okay, so now let's sew it up together. Okay, now I'm gonna sew it together. I'm gonna start with the leaf first. So I did 2 types of leaf. One is a smaller leaf, one is a bigger leaf. So up to you whether you want to make 2 of the same size leaf or you're gonna make 3, some smaller, some bigger. So I'm gonna sew it only the sides here. I want it to be like this. I just want 2 and I'm gonna sew it onto a pot. So only certain part will see the leaf. I do not want too many leaves. Okay, you can have 4 if you want. So I made 1 small leaf and 1 bigger leaf. So this is how I'm going to sew it together. Since I forgot to leave a long tail for sewing, so I have to use another yarn. This leaf, I'm going to put it this way. And I'm going to sew from the tip. Make sure this tip meet this tip here. And around here, just tie a knot. Later you can hide the yarn in between here, in between the leaf. Then I just make a few stitches, like when we are doing, if you have done granny square, and just sew it together like granny square. Or you have not done granny square, it's okay, just sew it like this, and stitch to this stitch. And you do not have to sew a lot because only the small part is joined together like this. So you see, you have 2 leaves already, just like this. So if you intend to make another 2 leaves, you can just join them up here. So I do not have to join it all the way, if not your leaf will be like this. You can, I mean, depending what you're going to do with this. If you want it to curve up like this, make a few more stitches and it will curve up like this, and your flower would kind of curve up like this too. So I want it this way. Okay, let me just make 1 more stitch. Then I'm gonna stitch backwards. Go back. And then this tail and this tail, and just hide it along here on this half double crochet and single crochet. Oops, it's too tight. I should have used the other needle instead of tapestry needle, because tapestry needle here is kind of wide. You just make it go through some of this. And it won't come off. And you can cut the yarn. See, you won't be able to see any of it. And just cut the yarn. And I will do the same for the other side here. Since this one I just tie a knot, if I were to cut here, it might come off. I'm not sure, so it's best that I just tuck this in so that it won't come off easily. Just tuck it in a bit before you cut. And there, and if you want, you can tuck it in more and you cut the yarn. And I'm going to cut it, and you will have a lovely pair of leaf like this, just like what I did for this. So depending how you want the leaf to be. And now we're going to carry on with the bigger petal, then the smaller petal. Okay, now I'm going to sew the bigger petal, then sew it onto the, or later I can sew it onto the leaf together with the pearl. Okay, this one, same thing. This big leaf, sorry, it's a big petal. I forgot to leave a long tail, so I'm gonna use another yarn. So same thing, you're gonna make it close up like this, the front, beat the front. I'm gonna do one by one. Gonna do this side first. Okay, I'm gonna tie a knot. Then I'm gonna sew it together. Then before you get carried away, just open it up and see if this is what you want. Is this enough? I mean, do you want to sew more? Because the more you sew, the more it will go upwards, it will curl. So I want it to be like this. So I'm gonna add one more here. So I'll make it go backwards. Gonna sew backwards. Then I get another piece, another petal, and just add it here. And I'll continue to sew. So like I said, it depends on you how you want to sew it, whether you want it to go higher or lower. There's no wrong or right. It depends on where you're going to place this flower later on. Is it in a pot? Is it on a shelf, or you just leave it on a table? Or you're going to make a string and hang this on your Christmas tree. You can do that too. So normally by now, before I get carried away, I just open and see if this is right. Yeah, I guess that's about right. And I will sew it back here. And by the time you reach here, sew this side with this side. It doesn't really matter if you have a small hole here, because I'm going to put this on top of this, so it doesn't really matter. It only matters here. So here, if you see a hole, I will cover it up. Okay, now let's open up and see before I sew on. Right, this is nice. Okay, and I'm gonna sew backwards. And take a look and see. This is what you want, and hide this yarn between here. See, this needle is so easy because it's smaller, not as thick as the tapestry needle, so I can just go in smoothly and just hide your yarn. Once you're satisfied, cut the yarn. Then you have the second piece. Okay, I have this part, the leaf, and I have this big petal. So now, same thing with this small petal, do the same. Join it together. This one I left a long tail after sewing, so I do not need to tie a knot. This is from this petal. Then just continue, because the first few I forgot. I keep cutting, because you cut off the yarn for the first few, you will forget for the next few. Got carried away. And you open up and see, is this the middle part? You can do a little bit more, because you might want it to curl up like this, you know, because the more you sew here, the more it's gonna curl up upwards. Okay, let's do one more, then turn back. Now let's add the other one. This is the part where I make sure there's no hole, because this is going to be the top part, the top layer of the flower. And after you make these stitches, always open it up and see if it's okay. And you see, the more I sew, the more it will curl up. So I want this to curl up. Make one more stitch, then turn back. And join it with this side. So now I will make sure there's no hole. I'll cover this part as well now, just to make sure there's no hole. So make 1 or 2 stitches here. And before you turn back, you just open it up and take a look. Now, is that curl enough for you? Do you want it this way, or do you want it this way? See, this one I did not sew so much, so it's kind of open up. So this one I show you that it's curl up. Can you see? So it depends on how you sew here. I do not want this to curl so much, but I want the middle part to curl like this. Okay, so it's up to you whether you want it to flare up like this or curl up like this. Okay, last stitch. Now I'm gonna turn back. You have to turn back, because if not here, you can see it will kind of open up a bit. So it's best that you turn back, then hide the yarn into all these stitches. Just hide it as much as you want. and cut the yarn. So this one will turn out like this. And now to sew the pearl onto the middle part here. This is easier to sew. The pearl is easier because it's open up. This one I think would be slightly more difficult because it's close up like this. So which do you prefer? Okay, now let me go get some pearls. Okay, now to sew the pearl, I not only sew the pearl, I'm going to sew all these 3 pieces together with this, the pearl, the yarn for pearl. This is actually lace yarn because it's thin enough for the pearl to go through. So you assemble it and see how you want it to look like. Like this. Right. It should be right. Then I would make 1 stitch here from the green part all the way to the red part. And before you do anything drastic, ask yourself whether you only want 1 pearl or you want 5 or maybe 3. I'm not sure. So if you only want 1 pearl, make sure it's right in the center. I want 5, but this is flare up like this, so 5 is okay. This is close up, I'm not sure if it fits 5. Now let's try. You make 1 stitch here first. 1 stitch here. So I'm not going to bother so much about this because I'm going to sew this onto a pot. So you have to take note that what you're going to do with this flower. If you're going to hang it on your Christmas tree, don't let this show. Use a green yarn, that it won't show. I'm using a white yarn because the pearl, see, I want it to show. I do not want green parts to show. Or if you have those transparent yarn, you know, those maybe silver yarn or gold yarn, you can use that too. So I'm going to put 1 pearl now. Oops. Okay. Then before you continue sewing, make sure all this is at the spot that you want. Okay. Then make sure it goes back to that stitch very near to where you just sew. And when you poke your needle, make sure it goes all the way to the green part here. Then you take a look and see if this is what you want. If it looks okay to you. 1 pearl looks nice too. But I prefer 5. So I'm going to make a few more. So you're going to make 1 stitch. Hold this nicely so that, you know, it doesn't go the other way. Make sure your needle comes out just next to this pearl. Oops! Add a pearl now if you can. And pull up the yarn. Like this. You make sure you hold this nicely so that all this is in the right spot, right position. Then poke this all the way to the back. Make sure you do not poke your hand all the way to the green part. There I have my second pearl. I'm gonna have 3 more. So I think I'm gonna have my next one here. I think 5 would be sufficient. 6 would be too much. Or depend if you have a smaller pearl. Or if you have those, you could get those very big pearl. You can just sew 1 right in this. in the middle. Okay, then I'm gonna add it here. So it looks so nice already. See, one glance it kind of shine, right? And you see, one glance you can't really see the thread. So I'm gonna make one more here. Because it's gonna curl up like this, I think 5 would be enough. Let's see. So there's no fixed rule to this. It depends on the size of your pearl and also the size of your petal. Oh, looks like I can have 6 pearls. Let's see. Oh, it got further away. Do you think I should have 6? Maybe because it's close up in the way I stitch. Okay, maybe I will do 6 pearls for this. There's no wrong or right. Oops. Let's see if it, oh, look at that. Once I pull the thread, 5 pieces, nice. Okay, so pull it hard and make sure all this pull hard so that the pole sticks right down, and you just make a knot. And hike the yarn along all this and cut the yarn. So I have 2 versions here. Which do you prefer? One curls up like this, one flares out like this. You can only see the difference from the side view. Can you see? This is curl up and this is flat. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope you love this pattern. I look forward to seeing you in my next post. Do stay tuned because I'm going to sew these beauties onto a pot.